Wait, cheers, because I have my wine.
Oh, we said that was water.
Oh, sorry.
No. There we go.
Okay, good. Okay. So I'm not the only one drinking.
No, cheers. No, absolutely. I may even I had like a big discussion with myself on what I was even going to drink. And
Me too.
I was like, oh, maybe wine, but I only have a red, and I didn't know if I really wanted to drink a red right now because it's like so daylight out still.
Yes. I know. I have white, and then I have White Claws in the fridge, and then I was like, should I drink White Claws? But I already had this wine open, so I was like, yeah, I'll stick with the wine.
If I had white, I would have gone with a white. So this is cool that we're doing this because I don't really. I remember having classes with you.
Yes.
But I didn't really know you, and it was really interesting when I talked to George, because him coming from Ambler Catholic was like a whole nother world. Right. I had never really thought about where it was such a small community. And then you're coming into this,
because we came in high school.
Yeah.
So like we didn't have that. Yeah. We didn't have, I mean, I knew kids from like in our grade, but we went to this small school. Our 8th grade class, there was 18 of us. That's it.
Wow. And you had known each other from like.
Yes. And most of them were my cousins. So like since preschool. So, yeah, it was crazy.
So were you from Ambler? You grew up in Ambler?
Yes. Yeah. I grew up on Mount Pleasant.
Wow. That's so funny. It was always like this other world. And, I was friends with Leon Osowski, who, I don't know if you knew Leon, he was about 4 years older than us. Or probably, 3. No, he was a senior when we were freshmen. And it was like, hey, why doesn't my friend go to school with us? Like, he lives right up the street. How come he's not in school with us? And I never got this concept of like this other school that existed, especially because I did go to Madison Avenue. So like I was familiar with the area, and it was like, who are these kids that like my age? So when that you grew up in Ambler, right? Even so, I grew up in South Ambler, but even then, that I didn't even know you from like around Ambler.
Right, from around Ambler. Yeah, because we kind of stayed in our. I mean, we go there from kindergarten. My sister went to Madison Avenue though for kindergarten, and then my mom put her back at Ambler Catholic, but then she took her out for middle school. So my sister went to the middle school and then to the high school, but I stayed until 8th grade, and then it was kind of like, where are you going to go? And it was always like, well, we're just going to go to Wissahickon.
Did you have a choice? Did you want to go anywhere else?
We visited like Lansdale. I feel like there were so many Catholic schools like that that you could have chosen, but it was expensive to go there. And my parents were not going to like pay. And I was like, no, I think I want to go to Wissahickon because it's public school and I never went and it's cool. And we knew some kids from there. So I was like, no, we'll just go to public school. And my mom was like, yeah, that's where you're going.
So. Yeah. When I asked George like about the difference between like, his experience there and Wissahickon, it was like, there were no like cliques or anything from your perspective. What was your.
They were definitely, I mean, there was only 18 of us, but there was definitely like the boys. I mean, there wasn't that many, but it was like Kevin McCarthy, Paul Gigliotti, and then Dan Frick. He went to Upper Dublin, so I don't think he came through Wissahickon, but he was like a cool kid that went through there in our grade. And then it's always been me, Elisa, Stefania, and Danielle. That's always kind of our clique that we've always been. But I think there definitely was whatever we had. I mean, as small as we were.
Yeah.
Like
hierarchy.
I think, yes, I definitely think there was. Yeah.
It's only natural, right? Or when you're kids, like you just kind of, that person's kind of cool, or
Yes, it's like, they get to do that. Yes. And Elisa and I, you'll hear me say Elisa and I a lot. But our parents were very strict, so we were not allowed to do anything. So we definitely were like, they get to do this. That's so cool. We don't. And it was probably for our own good that we didn't get to do those things. But at the time, we were very, very bitter about it.
So then what were you guys doing as, especially I'm always interested in what was the girl, because I just have the TV perspective of like
We went to
Kelly
the
and
mall a
Jesse.
lot. Yeah. Yes. No, I know your obsession with Saved by the Bell. And I used to watch it too, but I don't really remember. But the only episode that like really sticks out was when Jesse took like Ritalin, right, or something like this.
Caffeine
That
pills.
stands out. Yes, like
Yeah.
that stands out. But no, we went to like the mall or each other's houses or like just hung out, and we used to walk around Ambler a lot. Like I don't know how I would never let my kids just walk around like our town. But we used to just always go for a walk. Me and Elise and Stefania, we would like meet by Nick's. I don't think it's Nick's Deli anymore. It's Philly Famous.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm terrible
At
with
the
street names.
at like
At
the
like the little
four-way, it's
yes,
Spring
yep.
Garden, and I want to say maybe Tennis
Tennis,
Ave, and
yes.
maybe Ridge or something like that.
Ridge, and then Rena used to live on that other street that's like right there. There's like a little church. There's like so many, like you said, four-way. So we
Yeah.
used to meet there, and then we would just kind of walk around and see what was happening in Ambler, and then we would all just go home. It was crazy because there were no cell phones. We just said we'll meet at the corner at 6 o'clock or whatever, and then we told my mom, all right, we're gonna walk around, and then I'll be home before it gets dark. And yeah, which is crazy because I would never let my kids do that.
That was one of the cool things about Ambler, and I've compared it to other people who lived in Bluebell and stuff, getting rides. We always just walked, right? You just walked in.
Yeah,
There
you
was
can
so
just
many,
walk anywhere.
it was so walkable, sidewalks, your bike, whatever. And our parents just let us go. I said it, like they pretty much let us play in traffic. Like there was no real, just go ahead and go
My
out there.
mom used to work on the weekends, and my dad would be at home, and we would be like, Danielle Tumul lived across the street. And so we would be like, all right, well, we're just going to go ride our bikes. And my dad would be like, well, okay. And then that's it. We would leave like for the whole day and just ride around. I mean, my grandmom lived in Ambler, and Danielle's grandmom and her aunt. So we would like, go to different people's houses, but we would just be kind of riding around Ambler, and then we would just kind of come home, or we used to go to the dollar store. Remember the dollar store that was over there?
Dollar
That
General
was,
or something.
yes, I remember always going to that dollar store all the time.
I love Butler
yeah,
Pike. I love
yeah,
Butler
no,
Pike.
it's
And
now it's all nice. But
oh yeah, it's you can't, you got to really work to afford to even go there. But I was talking, I think, with Chris Stout about like Reagan shoe stores and
yes, no, I remember
and,
going and shopping there in the one store that had like the checkered floor that you could go in and out, and me and my sister would just run out one door, like just run around like
yeah, it was
while
like
they shopped for socks or
it was
something.
next to Denny's and
yes, yeah. I know, it was crazy, all the older stores that used to be there. But yeah, so we would just kind of do that and go to the mall and hang out and talk on the phone a lot. I talked on the phone every day after school.
Did you have your own line?
No, I didn't even have my own phone. I had to go in my parents' room upstairs so I could, and my mom would get so mad because at that time there wasn't even call waiting. So if someone was trying to call, it would be busy, and my mom would get so mad at me because I'm like, I have to talk. I always was gossiping about something. So I always got in trouble a lot for doing that. I don't think we got call waiting till high school, because I remember it was like a separate little like machine thing that when you got home you could go through and see who called.
Oh, caller ID.
Caller ID,
Yeah,
yes, and that too. But yeah, call waiting I don't think I had till high school.
For what was for you being a girl, I imagine probably sought after more than a guy would be sought after. So when I asked George about dating and stuff like that, he wasn't dating. But for you being a girl, what was your experience being that age, 12, 13? For me, I always looked at it as like it was too advanced for me. I saw things were like coming about.
There were definitely things happening that I was hearing that I didn't know at the time. I had to like ask, like, what? I don't even know what that is. But I mean, I always had a boyfriend. I mean, it wasn't like, what we saw each other at school and that was it. Or we talked on the phone when we got home from school, but
right.
That was it. I think my first like real boyfriend was my husband, which was when we were seniors. So
wow. you said your family was strict. So was there like for you, like friend wise or just social wise, were you like, my dad was very strict as far as like who I could have over at the house and, who I could,
Yeah.
so it really affected like who I could be friends with almost because I knew like, and that's where a lot of times when I talk about the show, like, who my friends are, it's like, well, did we know each other's parents? Did we know each other's families? Like, was it really those other three girls for you that was like, it was pretty limited to for friends?
Well, yes. Number one, because our parents were friends and like my parents were immigrants and so was Elisa's and Stefania's. So my parents came here in the 70s when my mom was 18 and my dad was like 21. And Elisa's parents are a little bit younger and Stefania's parents, I believe, are also younger than my parents. They're my aunt and uncle's age. But they already knew each other and like other Italians that came over from like the same, because everyone in Ambler is from the same town in Italy, where my dad is from. So we were always kind of friends with those kids. And so thankfully I had Elisa and Stefania to kind of commiserate in. We're not allowed, Italian girls don't do this. Italian girls can't sleep over. Italian girls don't go out here. Americans, it was always, and Zach, my husband, always is like, you guys are American, right? And I'm like, yeah, but it's different when you're the first generation here. So we would hear our parents say, oh no, Americans let their kids do whatever they want. We don't. So we would be like, oh, American kids are so lucky they get to do whatever they want. And he's like, but you're American. I'm like, I know, but that's not how we were brought up to think. So that's just how we viewed it. But at least we had each other to kind of say, hey, you're not allowed to go, neither am I.
Yeah.
Or we couldn't lie and say, well, Lisa can go, because then my mom would just call her mom and she would say no. And then we would get in trouble for lying.
So then when you would look out into like the high school world of Wissahickon, what was your impression prior to going of like what a public school did you have? Like, you said you knew some people, but
yes, like I was friends with Christina McDowell because she lived in the cul-de-sac right next to mine, and we would play for when we were kids all the time. And her dad, I remember, was strict, but her mom was so cool. And I remember like hanging out or going to Christina. She's like, well, I'm going out. And I'm like, oh, and I would like watch her get ready to go out. And I was like, oh, well, must be nice. I'm going to go home and go to bed now. I'm going to go call Lisa and tell her you get to go and we don't. And I do remember that. And I remember being scared because I was like, I heard it's like rough and I don't know who goes there. And we knew some people, but not a lot. And like, so it was scary going into high school, everyone already being friends and like kind of knowing each other, and then you kind of going in and being like, hi, I want to be your friend too, which is hard to do. So I do remember being a little nervous and scared about doing that. Like, am I going to make friends? And then I remember getting our schedule, and I remember Danielle and Elisa having like all these classes together, and I had nothing with either one of them. And I was so upset, and I was like, what am I going to do? Like, what? I don't know anyone, and I'm not really shy, but I am at first, especially coming into a school where I don't even think we visited one time. I remember Elisa's sister was a senior when we were in 8th grade. So we got to come in and kind of go around the school with her sister, and my cousin was also a senior. And we were just like, okay, this is like what it's like to be in here. But we didn't know what we were going to do when we got there.
Yeah.
So that was scary a little bit.
So then when you get in there, that was my middle school experience, right? Having no classes with my friends in these pods. Well, we had these pods where they broke us up.
I heard you talk about pods. Yeah.
So what was your experience now? No classes with your friends. What are you doing?
So I don't even remember if it was the first day of school or did we have like a day where we like got to go.
Freshmen got to go first, like with just us to get the lay of the land,
just us
and run our schedule.
Did we go to our classes?
Yeah,
okay.
We did like maybe a half day or something all by ourselves, so that we could learn the building.
Yes. So I don't know if it may have been the first day of school, and I met Chrissy Shuck, and I met her. Like I said, I have a terrible memory, but I remember I think being in gym, and it may have been Christina McDowell who introduced us. Somehow Kim Devaney, because we always knew Kim, even when we were in middle school, because I think Elisa played basketball with her, and Elisa's older sister played basketball with Kim's older sister. So we always knew Kim, and Kim introduced us to Mindy. Do you remember Mindy?
Yeah, Mindy Wirtz.
Yeah, yep. So she introduced us to Mindy, I'm pretty sure one time, like at the mall. So I do remember meeting them the first day, and I remember meeting Chrissy, and I remember my shoe broke, and she walked around with me, and then we were like scared because I had Mr. Lazar, and who was the English teacher?
Foy.
Miss Foy. And I remember we missed her class because my heel had broken, and I don't even know what we did. We may have walked around. I'm not sure if she even remembers that, but I do, because I just remember thinking, oh my God, this is the first day of school and we missed it. And Miss Foy was so nice, and she didn't care at all. But I remember then feeling okay. Then once I met Mindy, she kind of introduced me to people, and then I felt a little more comfortable being in there. But I was still kind of like, well, these kids are cool and they're friends, and I'm sure they get to hang out, and I will not be able to hang out with these kids outside of school, which really sucks. So I do remember that. Yeah.
That's funny. You already had like your in, but then you were doubting yourself.
Yes, no, I knew that if I was ever invited to go somewhere, I would have to make something, because my mom would be like, no. Number one, are they Italian? Number two, no, I don't know their parents. And I'm like, great. Well, I remember the first time we went in a car with Susie Mullet, and we were going to the mall. She had to come inside and meet my mom.
Oh.
And she had to go inside and meet Elisa's mom before we were allowed to get in the car with her. And I think we went to the mall or to the movies, because we used to go to the movies and to the mall. That's where we went.
Mm-hmm.
I never forget. And Susie was like, I have to, and we're like, yes. My mom wants to meet you, so please just come inside and meet my mom. And she did. And my mom was really nice, and Susie was always nice, but yeah. And that was the extent of like outsiders, was like Brianna and
wow.
Yes. Yeah, no, it was very like, you have to hang out with people that we know, otherwise you're not going.
In high school, then, did you get involved in any type of activities or anything extracurricular to buy yourself some more time?
No, like Elisa did, and I should have. Like her and Danielle did field hockey, and I didn't. I just was like, I'm not really that good at sports. I was really good in volleyball. We had volleyball in our Catholic school, and I think we even tried to get Wissahickon to get a team, and they wouldn't do it for some reason. I don't remember why. And so then I was like, meh, I was lazy. So I was like, no, I don't want to do sport. And I should have done field hockey with them, but I didn't. I was like, meh, I'd rather talk on the phone after school. I would rather gossip about people than go play sports, which I should have played sports, but I didn't. No.
What kind of classes? What were your favorite classes? Teachers? You mentioned Miss Floyd, Mr. Lazar.
I remember Miss Floyd. Yeah, Mr. Lazar. Yes, I remember him being really just funny and just crazy out there. And I know we've talked about the Italian market, that trip that we went on, which was crazy. And of course, whose mom chaperoned on that trip? My mom.
Oh, wow.
My mom came, and Stefania's mom came on that trip.
Did you buy anything?
I don't think so.
Tag watch?
I think we didn't bring a chicken home. I know that. No, I don't think we bought anything. Oh, and Jess Davis. I think I had started having a lot of classes with Jess Davis, because she was like in our group in the Italian market.
Okay.
Because I have pictures of us, and she was in those pictures. But I remember just being like, great, here comes my mom. She's embarrassing and great. So.
No, it's funny. Like I never went on that trip. I didn't get to go on that.
Really?
Yeah.
It was that was Mr. Lazar's class. Because he was there. No, I remember him being so excited about it and telling us all about it.
The
and
pizza
then,
bread and
yeah, oh my God. And everyone was like rushing to get this bread, and it was like insane. And then I think we just walked around. I don't even think we did anything. I don't really remember.
That's all you can do. It's just it's like butcher shops and pasta shops and
that's it. I just remember I think my mom bought and Svan's mom bought like food and maybe lunch meat or something. Like I remember them doing that, but that was it. I don't think we actually bought anything. But I remember them. He was a funny teacher. I liked Mr. Lazar.
But Miss Foy also was actually one of
Yes, I do remember her. I remember she was really funny and she was just cool. I remember that. Anyone
else that stands out or subjects that you were?
Well, subjects probably, I don't know. English, I guess I was okay in. Miss Patterson, I feel like everyone's going to say Miss Patterson. I remember she was awesome and she was so nice. And Mr. Cairns, because he was cute. And we all thought he was cute. And his sister was like in a movie or something. So I think we thought that was really cool.
Okay.
And Mr. Brody, he was my math teacher, I think, from 9th grade till 12th grade.
Oh, really?
Because I was terrible at math. Oh, I was terrible at math.
Was that
I think I failed.
Was that MCP classes?
Oh, definitely MCP. And I'm pretty sure I failed every year. I remember I'd have to go after school and D hall, right? That was like when it was like downstairs.
Yeah. Like the base.
And he was down there. Yes. Yep. I remember almost every day after school going and him trying to like help me. And there was a bunch of other kids in there too. I don't remember who, but we were in there and I never learned anything. He was just fun. He was always really nice.
So what kind of student were you then? Overall, like
I was okay.
B student, B student?
Like C and B. I wasn't going to be in honors or I wasn't, no.
Were Lisa and Stefania?
Yes, yeah. I think I'm trying to think. Stefania may have been in math with me. She may have had math classes with me. I think. No, Elisa was always a lot better at math than me. So she was always in a different math class. And I remember Senorita Satinsky. She was really sweet. Because I always took Spanish and Senorita's, I think it was Zorinsky. It was some kind of name. She was the other one. I remember her being short with like short blonde hair.
Okay.
I remember having her in Spanish, and I really liked her. She was really nice.
I always had the guys. I had Senor Gant, and
See, I don't even.
He was
and I had Senora Romeo too.
See, I didn't have her.
See, I never remember. She was the worst. She hated us.
I think I heard that from Alicia. I think Alicia said similar. Right?
I think Alicia was in my class. I think maybe it was just that class because I think Chris also said he was in that class, which I forgot he was in that class. But it was like me, Elisa, Melissa Morgantan. I think Pete Stampone was in that class. Yeah, it was. I don't think we were very good. I do remember she called my mom once to say like I talk too much. And my mom was like, yeah, if you can get her to shut up, you can call me back. But otherwise, there's nothing I can do for you. And then she hung up on her.
Hey, you didn't have, in Catholic school, you didn't have foreign language, right?
No. No.
So were you into taking Spanish? Was that like something that was?
Yeah, because we spoke Italian at home. And so Spanish is is almost the same language. There's a lot of similarities. So when we got to high school, I was like, oh, I'm just going to take Spanish because that comes naturally to me, more so than like German or French or anything else.
Did you feel were you seeing like once you were there for a little bit, were you seeing like the benefits or the novelty of public school? Were you into it versus what you knew before?
I liked it better than Catholic school. Catholic school was really strict and we weren't very big. It wasn't a very big school and everybody was always in everybody's business, which I guess in Wissahickon we weren't that big. And we were but that was even smaller. And most of the kids in the class, most of the boys were my cousins anyway. So even if I did anything, they would just go and tell their mom and then, my mom would know. And so, yeah, I thought it was cool. And we got to dress however we wanted because in Catholic school we wore uniforms.
Oh, so what's
And
that
so,
transition
which,
like for you?
oh, it was great. I had an outfit. I remember, I'll never forget. Mindy told me you can never wear the same thing within 2 weeks. So I, I swear she said that. So I would plan my outfits out for 2 weeks and then I would switch it. And then I would go back to like rotating my clothes again. But yeah, that was a big, high school girls are always trying to dress nice or look nice. And oh yeah, I would wake up at like 6 o'clock to get ready for school.
I was going to ask, how early are you getting up for that 7:40 bell time?
Oh, because the makeup, and then it was, if my shirt was dark blue and light blue, my eyeshadow was dark blue and light blue also, which is terrible to think of now. But wow. That was the style.
How are you buying all of these clothes? Are you do you work? Are your parents buying this stuff for you?
No. My like I said, my parents were immigrants, who came like in the 70s in their 20s. So no, they were not buying me things. No, I always had a job. I worked at the church at St. Anthony's, and I worked at the YMCA. And I babysat. I think I babysat for the same family every Saturday night for all of high school.
Wow.
Yeah, the same family. They were like, we just want you to come and I went every Saturday night. And then Friday nights, sometimes I would go out, and then most of the time I would babysit for other people that I met at the Y who wanted me to babysit because I was just trying to make money so I could buy my own stuff. So
your social life was kind of just as you were describing it as you were younger. You didn't really venture out.
Yeah, it was like, we went out, and I when I wasn't babysitting, because I remember going to the movies a lot, and I remember going to the mall all the time and walking around with boys or chasing boys. And I remember doing that. And then once I started dating Zach, then we would go out on dates one night, and then I would babysit, and then he would go out with his friends and I would babysit. And sometimes he would come with me because I babysat for these boys, these 3 brothers. And they loved him. He like came one time to like bring me like food or flowers or something, and they loved him. And they would ask if I could bring him along. Like the mom would be like, "Oh, is your boyfriend around?" And so he would come with me sometimes and play with the kids till they fell asleep, and then we would hang out. So it was a mix, but I was never allowed to really go out and with people that my parents didn't know.
When did Zach come into Wissahickon?
Oh, junior year. 1999. He's got a way better recollection of things. He's sitting right over there than me, because I am like, I don't remember. I get my years mixed up, and sometimes I don't know if it was high school or college or after college. I'm like, I don't remember. It was in the 2000s at some point. But 1999, he came in junior year. But we didn't start dating until we were seniors.
So then what's your, like, when you're going through that high school time, what's your like experience then as your friends are dating, right? Everyone kind of around in the social world is kind of dating. What's your, are you trying to sneak date? Like,
it would have been nice, but I was never, boys were not looking at me. Well, not in high school. I was always getting smacked on the ass a lot because everyone said I had a big butt. But that didn't happen before I got to high school. So it was always about Elise and Danielle always got way more traction, or boys always liked them way better than me. So I kind of just was like, okay. After a while, I came to terms with it, and I was like, okay, fine. They're not going to be looking at me, so it doesn't matter. So like if we went to the mall and we were like walking behind boys, I would be like, after an hour, I would be like, all right, I've had enough of this. And then I would be like, I'll be right back. And I would, excuse me, my friends like you, and we've been walking around forever. Can we do this so that I can actually go do what I came here to do? I was always kind of like the mom, and I still was even after school. So I'm always like, all right, well, let's get this going. And I didn't have a problem talking to boys because I knew they weren't looking at me. So I had no problem saying, hey, my friend likes you. Let's do this. So yeah, and I was good friends with Monica, and Monica always had a boyfriend. And I remember going to the mall with Monica. She had this really cute boyfriend who worked at the mall, and I remember always going and seeing him with her and thinking, oh, must be nice. She has a nice boyfriend. But yeah.
Did you ever like integrate with, the popular crowd? Did you ever go to parties? Did you ever like find yourself kind of like
parties? No, because there was no way I was going to be allowed to go anywhere near that. I was just too afraid of my parents, and they were just really strict. And so no, but yeah, I was always friend. I mean, everyone was really always nice. Like I would see Rena sometimes because she lived on, I forget that street. But right there by when it was Nick's Deli, and Heather. And sometimes I feel like Julia Presson would hang out too with Rena, and sometimes we would see them like after school if we were like we're walking or something, and we would see them, but never like hanging out. Like I went over Simone's house a couple times, and my mom I think she met Simone, but she never met her parents. But I'm pretty sure my mom met Simone. And so I did go over there. I did go to her house a few times.
You talked about like when you were younger watching like from the window and like has some, like stuff you couldn't do. So were you watching like or listening to what was going on weekends or whatever with all the kids that we went to school with, and like wishing you could engage a little bit more in some of that?
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes I was like, because sometimes they'd be like, oh yeah, we're like doing this, you should definitely come. And I'm like, yeah, of course. And then in my head, like, I can't come, but it's nice to say that. So sometimes, yes, but I was so used to it that I was just like, it's whatever. It's not happening. So it's fine. I just like to hear about it the next day and, hear about what's going on.
Yeah.
In other people's lives, which was fine. I was okay with that. So.
See, that's the exact opposite of me. I wasn't okay with that.
No, I wasn't okay for a long time. But then when I realized it's not my parents aren't changing their minds, then it's what else am I going to do? I was too afraid to like sneak out or actually go out and do any of that because they would have killed me.
Yeah.
For real.
You had a younger sister?
I did. Who was allowed to do a lot more. 2 years. No, me and
you said it was firstborn, right? Yeah.
Yes. No. And well, in Elisa's case, it was just her and I. We caused trouble, and I think we probably would have, if we were allowed to go to parties and do all that. I think no one would have liked us. I think everyone would have gotten really annoyed really fast with us.
Why do you say that?
Oh my God, because after like when we were in college and we started going out, we're just annoying. I mean, we're just loud and in your face, and like one of us is on a table. I mean, it just gets to, and everyone's like, you guys are so annoying. Or when people would take pictures, with a camera, we would like run in front and like pose or mess up their picture. I mean, we were just really
I mean, there is literally a TV franchise built on that.
Yeah. We definitely would have been the pre-Snooki and JWoww, maybe. She might not like that reference, but I feel like we can get out there. So I feel like maybe it was better off that we weren't allowed to do those things, because we would have annoyed people and then they wouldn't have liked us as much. I don't know. That's my story, and that's what I tell myself. So I'm gonna go with that. Yeah.
What did your parents do?
So my mom worked at the YMCA because, like I said, both my parents came over. Neither one of them went to college. So, and like my mom spoke English, but my dad's English was very broken. So it wasn't very good. But he was a stonemason, so he worked whenever he could. It wasn't like a steady stream of stuff. So
What was there? Did they have something for you in mind of like what they wanted you to do once you got out of high school?
Yeah. My mom said, you're going to college and that's it. Because I didn't want to. I wanted to be a hairdresser. And I'm going to throw it back to tech school. I should have gone to tech school to be a hairdresser, but my mom would not let me because she said, I have to go to college because that's the American dream. You have to go to college.
Right.
You need a college degree so that you can go to work and make money and not have to struggle or kind of like them because they didn't speak the language very well. So I had to do a lot of things on my own or things for them. I mean, my mom had brothers and sisters who were younger, and my aunts and uncles who are going to listen to this helped me a lot through school. But my mom didn't always want to have to take me to my grandmom's house because they're a lot younger than her because they were still in college or just out of college, or to their house to help me with like my homework all the time. So my mom was like, no, you're going to college and that's it. And I was like, okay, fine. So that was it.
So then when you get this kind of mandate that you will be going to college and you accept that, did you accept that?
I mean, yeah,
you had to.
I was like, oh, yeah.
What do you start thinking about that you would go to college for?
I had no idea. I was like, what do I want to do? Because I can't be a hairdresser. So what am I good at? Definitely nothing that has to do with math because I cannot do math. So then I said, I'm good at English. Oh, I wanted to be a speech therapist for a while because when I think we were seniors, my little cousin was going to speech therapy. And so I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can do that. I like to talk. And so I would go to his speech therapy with him. And I talked to the speech therapist, and here I come in again being lazy. She was telling me like all this schooling that you have to do. And I was like, nope, I'm not trying to do that. So, nope. I'm terrible. I just wanted to marry someone and who had money, and then I didn't have to really work. So I was like, no, that's what I'm going to do. So no, I didn't have big ambitions back then when I should have, but I definitely didn't.
So you were just going to play the game and just pick something, take your classes.
Yes, take my classes, try and get through it, and graduate and have a degree. So, because I wasn't getting straight A's in school. So I was like, I don't even know where I'm going to go.
So you called yourself lazy. Is that was what you think your issue was in?
Yeah, I think I was more interested in being social, or like, I didn't really want to study, or I just wanted to talk on the phone. And I had friends from like different schools because of like our Italian like group. I had friends in like Hatboro Horsham, or I think when we were in ninth grade, UNAMI, and then like CB West. And so I used to call them after school, and we would kind of talk about, hey, like what's going on in your school, or what's going on with this person, this Italian person that we know. And then I would make my phone calls after school to like see what's going on in Upper Dublin, what's going on in Hatboro Horsham. That's what I was interested in doing.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah, no, it was, yeah. And my mom was like, get off the phone and go study. I'm like, whatever, okay. And I didn't. So, and I should have. So.
Did you have a computer?
Yes, but not maybe until like I had a computer because I remember dialing up. Yeah, but it was not a very good computer.
I was going to ask that at any point, did this phoning of everyone ever become like an instant messenger thing?
No, I don't remember. I remember going over Danielle Tumala's house, and I remember we would instant message. I don't even know who we were probably somebody that was like a random person. But I remember she always had the cool tech, like she had a phone in her room and she had a way better computer. And so I would always be over her house after school too, because we could just go in her room, and it was way better than. And in my house, we weren't even allowed. I couldn't even go up. I couldn't bring my friends upstairs in our room. So it's no fun sitting downstairs in the family room with my mom sitting there. So I would go to Danielle's house where it was a lot cooler because her mom wasn't home yet and her dad didn't care, and we would just go upstairs. And then we would go in her computer room and IM and instant message, God knows who. But no, it was always the phone. I love talking on the phone, and I still like talking on the phone, and everyone hates talking on the phone.
I like the phone.
I love it. I love it. If you're texting me and I have to text you back and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to call. And then people don't answer. And I'm like, I'm going to call you because I can't text all this. I don't like doing that. I want to have the conversation. So I loved talking on the phone.
I text like information that needs to be exchanged right then and there, or things that aren't worth a phone call. But with my best friends, anytime I don't drive often, but anytime any of my friends are in the car for like more than like 20 minutes, I'll usually get a phone call and we'll have like a great half-hour conversation, and like that'll happen a few times a month, and I love that.
Yeah, no, I love that. Elisa used to, before, when I was at home, she would call me when she would drive to Ambler from Allentown, which is like almost an hour. And that was we would just talk like every day on the phone when she would be driving or like going to work. Like when I lived in PS, we almost lived near each other in California. You were in Temecula and I was in Carlsbad.
Me? Really?
Yeah, weren't you? Weren't you in Temecula? Didn't I hear you say? Yeah.
You went to Temecula, bro?
He did.
I was there
in Temecula.
I was only there for a summer.
Okay, we were there for
4 years.
4 years.
I was there 2010.
Okay, that's when we left.
That's when we left.
Because we had our son. We had our son 2009, and he joined the Marine Corps in 2005, and then we moved to San Diego, and he was in Pendleton.
Oh.
Yeah.
I left. I left after the summer. I was not a West Coast guy.
It was
fun. It's nice. It's expensive, bro.
It's expensive, but it's very, bro. Coming from Philadelphia. Now we've been gone for so long that when we come there, I'm always like, all right, game face. Like, got to remember, but we got to be mean. We can't, especially because we lived in Texas. And especially after being in Texas and then coming back to Philadelphia, you're like, oh shit, we're not in Kansas anymore. I was like, no, game face on, kids. Let's we're not in decent parts. So but I remember coming from Philadelphia to California, I was just like, oh my God, these people need to. Everyone's like, yeah, no worries, man.
It's the fruit nut bowl of America.
It's cool. And I was like, if someone tells me no worries one more time, I'm going to choke them. Like, I just couldn't take it. And now I'm like, I wish I was back in California where everyone's so laid back. But at the time, coming from there, that was just, I couldn't handle it. I was like, it took me a while. We were there for like 4 years. So I got used to it. But that very beginning, I was like, these people are weird, and I can't.
You know, it's interesting because you come from like this kind of big Italian community, and you know, especially our area, Ambler, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. So many people stay, and you have every reason to stay. And you know, with your upbringing, very strict. What's your outlook when you're now going to go to college? What are you thinking in your head as far as where can you go? Are you having options to like leave the state? Do you want to leave family? Are you going to a state?
Well, I didn't really want to. I didn't really know at the time. At the time, I did not want to leave. I didn't even want to live at college because I was like, I don't want to live with other people. Like, I didn't want to do that. So, and all my aunts and uncles, except for one went to Villanova, but everyone else went to Temple. And so they were like, you're going to go to Temple. And I was like, oh, okay. But I didn't start out at Temple. I went to Montco first. Which was honestly the best thing, I think, because I paid the 2 years I went to Montco, I paid it myself because back then it wasn't, I think it was like 900 a semester or something like that, and I was working, so I paid it myself, and I didn't know what to do. Because then once I got there, I was like, oh, there are other things that I like. Like I took a lot of women's studies classes, and I did education for a while because my mom was like, oh, you should be a teacher. And I was like, yeah, maybe I will. But then I don't know why I stopped, and I didn't want to do that anymore. So I was like, never mind. But so I took a lot of child psychology classes and at Monco. But I liked going there, and everybody was there. It was like 13th. I think we called it 13th grade, right? Because we were
and 202U.
Yeah, because we were all there.
What was your feeling? So I was like, I felt kind of embarrassed to be going. In my yearbook is, there's a few references to people saying like good luck in whatever you do, and I've said a few times I can imagine the conversation. They're writing my yearbook and they're saying they want to say good luck blank, and they go, where are you going, what are you doing? And I'm going, I don't really know, because I didn't want to look him in the eye and say I'm going to Monco, because in my head that was saying I'm lazy, I fucked up, I didn't make a plan.
I didn't do, I wasn't smart enough. I kind of felt the same way, because like Elisa, we went and looked, and that was the other thing. It's not like my parents took me to go look at colleges. Like we weren't like, that is not something that they knew how to do.
Yeah.
So we didn't go and do that. I didn't know about that. We went and looked at, I think, Drexel, because Elisa's older sister went to Drexel. So we went with Elisa's mom and Elisa, and we went and looked at Drexel. And I applied to Drexel, but I didn't get into Drexel. I didn't have the grades to get into Drexel. But I think that was like the only school that I went and looked at. There was no like college visiting or like going, because that's just not how, my parents didn't know anything about that. And even my aunts and uncles who went to Temple, and that was it. Like my aunt and they went through Wissahickon. My younger aunts and uncles went through Wissahickon, and my youngest aunt, she was really, really smart, and she got into all kinds of different colleges that she applied to.
Yeah.
But my grandparents did not speak, and my grandma still does not speak English at all. And they were not allowed to, she had to go to Temple Temple Ambler, because my grandma was like, no, you're not going away, because that's just, we didn't know, you didn't know anything about that. So we weren't like looking at colleges. So I just was like, if I don't get into Temple, then I'm going to have to go to Monco. And I didn't like, because didn't they post it somewhere like where everyone was going?
Yeah, I think it was in the newspaper. With all the graduation announcements.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, well, my name's not going to be like that. The American kids get to go to these cool colleges because their parents knew what they were doing. And like, I always kind of looked at those kids as like, oh, like that's what an American family is like, when your parents speak the language, they have regular jobs, and they've gone to school.
Mm-hmm.
And those kids know how to, like, I didn't know to get into clubs until senior year. I think I did Key Club only because Elisa said, I think we should do Key Club. I don't even know what it was. I have no one knows. I remember like one meeting, or was it FBL? And I think we did FBLA too, but I never did anything for FBLA. I think I just put it in there so I could have it. But I didn't know, like, oh, that looks good for college. And maybe my aunts and uncles told me that, but I was probably going, nah, I don't know about that. So there was a lot of stuff that we just didn't know. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to go to Monco.
So I knew that clubs were good because it was in TV shows, right? Like Jesse Spano, Andrea Zuckerman did clubs because they were the smart kids on the show.
Right.
But I did musicals, but not for college, not for college, because I thought I was going to be a theater student. I thought I was going to go to school. I thought it was going to be on Broadway, or, that's what I thought I was geared up for. I was going to go to college to do music, do theater and all that. But my parents didn't really have, my dad went to college for a couple years at Temple, My mom didn't go to college. So I never really felt like I had that experience of here's what you need to do. More so like,
Right.
are you applying early on enough? Like, I think I applied at the very last like moment that you could.
Right. Yeah, me too.
You know, and like by then it was like, dude, you were like way bottom of the list. And now that we're getting this late, like you're lucky we're even sending you a rejection letter.
Right.
You know, so like for I felt that exact same way where I just felt so unprepared to go into the college world. And it was embarrassing.
Yeah, I felt a little like, okay, well, I'm not going to be going anywhere. And I didn't even know some of those other colleges. Like Zach went to Shippensburg. I had never even heard of that, or like I didn't even know these other colleges. I knew Temple and I knew Drexel and Villanova because that's where one of my uncles went to Villanova. And I wasn't going to get into those two schools because I just didn't have the grades for that. And then Temple, I thought, oh boy, everyone expects me to go to Temple. So, but it was too late by the time I was like, oh, I should probably do better in all my things. I was just terrible at math, and I still am terrible at math. And I can't even like 6th grade math. I'm like, nope. Because my son is in 6th grade. I'm like, no. Go ask daddy. I just can't.
I used to be great at math and I can't remember it at all anymore.
No. Or he asked me things and I'm like, when are you ever, I'm a substitute teacher at my son's middle school. And so sometimes they're like, can you help this 8th grader with his math? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. I can do that. And then they're like, so Miss Rowe. And I'm like, I don't even know the last time I even saw what this is. I don't know. Hold on, let me Google how to do this. Or I call one of my cousins and I'm like, you got to tell me how to do this problem because I don't know what this quadrant, like yesterday, these 8th graders were doing something. They're like, Miss Rowe, can you help me? And I'm like, nope. I was like, I've never even seen that before. I don't know what that is. I can help any other subject but math. I cannot. I knew that my grades are just not good enough. So, but I liked Monco. Monco was good.
Yeah, I liked it.
Once I got there, and then everybody started coming, then all of a sudden everybody started showing up at Monco. I was like,
it really was the 13th grade.
We're all here. I remember eating going and getting breakfast, and oh my God, I would eat with Monica Shukri sometimes, and Tom. No, I can't remember his last name. Oh my God, Novak was there. I remember everybody.
Class with him.
Yeah, I had class with Brian Keenan. Yeah, and I think Brad. No, that was at Temple. And then I get confused between Monco and Temple, who I saw at Monco and who was at Temple. But yeah, no, everybody was kind of there, and then it was like, oh, okay, so this isn't so bad. We all kind of showed up here, and then I went to Temple anyway, and so it was good.
Did you do the full 2 years for your associates at Monco, or did you?
Yeah. I think I may have even gone an extra semester because my counselor messed up and told me I only needed these credits, but I needed one more. And so I had to do an extra semester at Monco. But I graduated in 2000. No, I graduated in the spring in 2006. So I think everybody graduated in 2005, but I had to go till May 2006.
Exact same. I did 2 and 2.5 at Monco for my associates. Yeah. And it was the same thing. I don't even think it was full time. I think I needed 9 credits.
Yeah. It was something really dumb. And I was like, thanks a lot, lady. So
what was your experience, coming from such a small group of friends at Monco, but also having this outside world of family and friends around you? Now you've got a little bit more freedom with your time. What's your experience socially with that small group of 4 when you're at Monco? Are you making new friends at Monco? Are you done?
Yeah, I met a lot of I met a lot of people at Monco that I can't remember now, but I do remember. I mean, I was still working because I worked all through college. I still babysat. I was still working at the Y at that time, and I was still with Zach. So he was further away from me, So I was just kind of either hanging out with my friends, like I still obviously with Elisa and Danielle and Stefania. We were always kind of, in and out of each other's lives. But Stefania and I would go to school together. We would go to Monaco together. We had classes together. I remember, and Brianna was there. We had a class together, and so we would go together. Sometimes we would go to lunch too, like with Brianna. We had a really cool class. It was public speaking with Brianna, and that was a cool class with kids from there. So yeah, it was kind of the same thing. I mean, I was allowed to do a little bit more as I got older, but I was always just kind of working and trying to do well in school. I was like, well, I better, if I want to go get to Temple, I really need to and I had to study. It didn't come naturally to me. So I just did that.
It was really, I didn't know how at all. I didn't do the memorization of notes really well at all.
No, I couldn't really either. So I really had to study to do well. So I tried to do better at school by really studying, and then I still worked during the week and on the weekends, and then we'll go out with Elisa, or we'd go hang out. And because Zach wasn't around, I didn't really want to go out, so I was missing my boyfriend. So my honey bear.
So Zach starting in 11th grade. Do you is it flirtatious at all? Is there any hints of that, or does it not come until it comes when you're seniors?
Apparently he liked me, I think.
Man, I liked her in 1999.
Whatever. So he liked me before I liked him. He was friends with Elisa, but girls were, he was way more popular than
yeah, he was Zach from Texas. He was Zach Rowe from Texas.
I don't remember it remember it like that.
He doesn't. He was and I'm like, I remember it like that. You were captain of the football team.
Yeah. I thought I was nice to everybody, and
he was nice.
You were nice. You were a jokester. I remember you were always doing stupid stuff.
I like to mess around.
But girls, and I remember Melissa Morganton in Spanish would come in and be like, "Oh my God, Maria, he likes you." And I'm like, Melissa, I don't care. I don't care. And he asked me to prom actually in 11th grade. And he took me, so me and my sister and I went to Italy that summer. We left before school was even out, and we stayed from June till August. Now that was a big deal for me to go. It was just me and my sister. We got to go by ourselves. That was the only thing on my mind was I'm going to Italy and I'm so excited and I can't wait. And I was buying clothes. Then this guy asked me to prom and I said yes, because I didn't know. He caught me off guard. I didn't know what to say. And then I was like, I don't want to go to prom. I couldn't find a dress. So I said, I don't even remember how I said it, but I was like, yeah, I can't go with you. I was just like, nah, I can't go to prom with you. He was fine. He ended up going with Susie as friends, with Susie Mullet anyway, and other girls. So he ended up doing just fine. And so that was it. That was the end. And then I left before school was even out to go to Italy, and I didn't come back till the middle of August. And then when we went back to school, he started talking to me again. And then I was like, oh, okay, he's not so bad. He's not everyone likes him. And I was just like, nope, I don't want. But then we were flirting, and then he asked me out. And then that's it. The rest is history. 20 years later, we're still here, which makes us sound really old when we say that.
Come on now.
No, but there's a lot of us that are still together.
It is. It's very
Sean and Jen, Kyle and Steph. Alyssa and Josh, right?
Yep.
They got married. Yeah.
Yep.
Who else? And that's rare now. People are like, what? Especially when I tell the middle school kids, they're like, you've been with your husband since you were in high school? And I'm like, yes. Mm-hmm. It's a long time.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's not uncommon in our class, especially when it's such a small class.
Yes, we were, because I do feel like we were, even though it seemed so big when I first got there in 9th grade, oh my God, I'll never even know. I think by senior year, I still don't think I knew everybody in our grade, but I think everybody kind of knew who everybody was, I feel like. Or you were put in a category of where you kind of were, you know?
You know what's so funny? That's exactly what I thought until I started this podcast. And now I'm coming across like certain people and I just go like, I have no idea who you were. Like, I just don't like, I can remember to this day, she hasn't done the podcast, but I remember the last day of school. It was graduation rehearsal. And we were in line getting ready to go out. And it was like in line was like me and like Brandon Deese, and like somewhere in the middle was this girl, and I look and it's Lauren Davis. And I don't know if she remembers this, but I remember I look at her and I go, "Who are you?" Almost like someone was crashing our graduation. And
yeah,
I go, "Who are you?" She goes, "I'm Lauren Davis." And I go, "Who?" She's like, "Lauren Davis." And I go,
and I don't know who that is.
"You go to school?"
Right? But see, I remember faces, like if I saw a face, I'm like, oh yes, I remember. I used to be so good with names, and now you tell me your name and it goes whoop, right over my head. I'll forget instantly what people's names are. But I do remember senior year, I remember having a class. I don't remember what the class was, but I remember this boy, and I don't even remember his name. His name may have been Will. I don't even know. And I just remember us going, who are you? And he was like, and who are you? Like, I've never seen you. And I've never seen, like, who the heck is this kid? And then that was we only had this class, and Molly Foose was in that class with me. Who else was in that class? I can't remember.
Will McBrien?
Maybe. I don't even know. He may have even signed my yearbook, and I still can't. I have no idea. But I do remember
Will Laval?
No, but and I don't really remember him either, but he did friend me on Facebook, and I thought, well, we have a lot of friends, but it could have been him, but I don't remember his hair being blonde.
When you're dating Zach, or you're starting to date Zach, what's the protocol with the parents now?
Oh God, he had to come in and meet my mom and my dad. And I'm pretty sure that my mom said, I know she definitely said this. I just don't remember how early in our relationship. Well, she doesn't have to like date an Italian guy, but like we don't want her dating anyone Irish.
At least you're not Irish.
At least you're not Irish. And I was like, Ma, he's Irish. Like that, why would you have said that? And she was like, oh no, but it's okay. Like it's not what I mean. It's okay. Yeah. And I was like,
my biological last name was Madden.
And I was like, yeah, okay. So I was like, well, that's my mom. So alrighty then.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, she's Irish.
It was great.
What?
Is it a serious relationship? Right from the is it like, I mean, you guys stay together through college?
Yes.
You said that that he had gone away. So where was he at that point when you were not around?
He was in Shippensburg. He went that summer.
Okay.
Right after we graduated, he went up to Shippensburg. He started summer school.
So that's when people have talked about like, oh, we dated, and then, hey, we're going away, you're going to college, let's break up. Was what?
Yeah.
You gotta be pretty serious that you decide to stick it out through college.
Yeah, no, that wasn't like, I don't think we ever said like, oh, we're going to break up because you're going to Shippensburg. Because he would come every weekend almost down to and stay. Did you stay at my house? I think he may have like slept on the couch. I think at that point he did that. Yeah, no, we never like talked about, oh no, like you're going away, I'm not, like we're gonna break up. So no, we didn't. That wasn't an option. That like wasn't something we talked about. So
for you then, that was like your first real relationship. Is that heavy, hard, like difficult to like?
No, I always thought, I had boyfriends, but never were we like actually would go out. Well, we were never old enough to go out on dates.
Right.
It was always like in middle school. So yeah, it was different. I I had to really it took a long time to be like to my parents, we're going to go out to eat, or we're going to go to the movies. You need to be home. And even after prom, our senior prom, he did get a ticket though. So that ended our night. And so we had to come right back home. But even so, it's not like we were going.
I had strict parents too, man.
Yeah, his parents were strict, but not like ours.
Okay.
But not like mine. But yeah. So we weren't really going too far. But yeah, no, it was okay, this is what we're gonna do. And then there was never oh, we should break up, or because then he went to Kansas and I was still here, but we were still together. He still came and would visit, and we just kind of said, this is what we're going to do. And
so you just kept adapting whatever was coming about. You just kind of kept adapting with it.
Yeah. And then he moved back, I think when we were juniors, he came back here. And then towards the end of our senior year, he joined the Marine Corps in 2005. And he had left for boot camp. And it was my last semester. Yeah. Because then we got married in 2006. We got married in that same year.
Did you transfer to Temple?
I did. Yeah.
What was your what did you go for?
English. I'm I think liberal arts is my my bachelor's is in liberal arts, but then I took a lot of I did English. So I was well, I could be a reading teacher if I wanted to, or I guess I don't know. I didn't really know what was gonna happen.
That's what you thought if you were to go away anyway, was to just kind of run the bases and just kind of do the rounds, the liberal arts.
Yeah. And then I took a few different things. Yeah, and I was all right, I can do this. And then I got a job right after we graduated. Was at a school / daycare for Merck. So it was only for the employees of Merck.
Oh yeah.
But it was I had to make lesson plans, and even for the little toddlers that I worked with. So so because of my degree, I was able to be a lead teacher, and I liked doing that because I always worked with kids. So I liked doing that, and I did that until we got married, and then he went to war. He went to Iraq, and then I moved to California.
Wow. So now you're moving, which
was a big ordeal.
Right. I mean,
nobody goes why do you have to go to California? You're not going to make it. You're going to come back. You're going to miss your mom. Even my cousins, all of the Italians are what? And an American boy? Oh my God, I can't believe it. And I didn't get married in the church, which being Catholic is, I still get asked when I'm getting married, even though we've been married for 14
never
years.
Happened.
It's it never happened. And we did that because we got married at Bluebell at the courthouse because we needed to get married before he was being, going to war, so that I could have access to things and I could know what was going on. And so that's when we decided, okay, we're just going to get married. And then when I come back, we'll see where I'm stationed, and then you'll move. And I was oh, I think I can do that. And everyone's you can't do it. You're going to miss being here. Because I liked being around my family. I liked being around everybody I knew. I liked being in the middle of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that. But then I loved him. So I was well, I'm going to try, and we're going to do it. And I haven't been back since. I mean, we came back for a little bit. We came and lived for 2 years, but that's it. We've been gone since.
It's not just, you're not just moving, right, with your husband. You're going to be the wife of a soldier.
Yeah.
You're taking that on. We're post 9/11 when that's going on.
Yeah, that was hard. It was hard. It's when you're in that life, you don't think about, because if you're not in it, it doesn't occur to you. But being in that whole military world. Once we got to California and he came home, we did not live on base because he didn't want to live on base and I didn't want to live on base. I did not want to be immersed in that world because I had met the other wives and I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be in that world. But it's hard, especially so him coming back with his friends after being there was hard for them to be back in civilian life. So it was like, I remember a lot of guys used to come over to our house and just kind of hang out and be like, what do we do now? We just were fighting and, saving people and watching people die. And now we're here and people are just like, hey, I'm going to the mall. And like, how do we come back? It's hard. I really do feel for all the guys who are in the military, whatever branch, and their families coming back. Because then you as like a spouse, you're like, how do I don't even know what to do to like help in that. And like, a lot of their resources are not always, they're frowned upon sometimes. I feel like guys asking for help while you're in that, especially in the Marine Corps, because, fuck with the best, die like the rest, like that's their motto. So it's kind of like, nope, we'll deal with it on our own, which takes a long time. So
what was your travel experience? You mentioned going to Italy, but were you like well traveled around the country prior to you going to California?
I had been to Italy a couple times, and I had been to the Dominican Republic because my mom's uncle lives there. So I had gone there. And then your usual New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, New York, Connecticut, because I have family there. But never that far and by myself.
Right. Now you're going to be living there alone.
Without like my family, my grandma lived in Ambler, my aunts lived there. Everybody lived within walking distance. And I saw my grandma almost probably every day, at least once a week, twice a week. So it was always like family. That's it. It's always your family and the same group of people. Like having friends was hard, like leaving my friends and being so far away, and then the time change also because 3 hours ahead,
right,
or behind. I mean, and then so yeah, it was hard getting used to meeting people and then going, okay, what do I get a job? What am I going to do? I was a nanny while I was there for this little boy, which was it was good because he did his thing and worked on base, and then I was a nanny, and then like all military, you start having babies, and then we had a baby. We had our son in 2009, and then so that was hard. And then having a baby, it gives you an in with other moms because you're like, oh, I'll take him to a little play group, and then you can kind of start meeting people. But in the military life, not everyone understands what you go through. So there was a lot of military wives and moms kind of where we lived in our complex that I was friends with, and some that weren't, that were just our neighbors. But I'm pretty good, I think, at adapting to situations like that because I had a hard time, but it was never like, that's it, I'm done, I have to go home. Like I never thought that. I just thought, well, I got to make it work, and so I'm going to. But I was always coming back to Philadelphia.
Okay.
I was always traveling and coming home whenever my mom and my sister and my aunts would come out and visit when we lived in California. But it was a big deal for my parents for me to leave.
Yeah.
And for me to not have a wedding because being Italian, your wedding has to be.
Yeah, it kind of bucks all your tradition, huh?
Oh, definitely. Oh my God. I'm done with all the traditions. I have not done anything that I was supposed, other than just, all my kids are baptized. So, and also being Catholic has also a lot to do with that. Not just being Italian, but being Catholic, and you didn't get married in the church. So that means you're not really married, even though we are married. We just didn't have a wedding. And then being Italian, your wedding has to be big and it has to be, more lavish than the girl who got married before you. And I didn't do any of that. And people were like to my mom, I can't believe like she didn't even get married. And how do you feel about that? And she left you. Like Italians are not the nicest. And a lot of people were like to my mom, like, oh, can you believe like she left? Like instead of saying like, wow, not a lot of people do that and kind of leave our little area. Like good for her. No, it was never like encouraging, but I was like, yeah, I'm okay. I survived.
Growing up first generation Italian American, what was like, we really came up in kind of the re-spark of the pop culture world of that, right? Like Goodfellas existed when we were very, very young, but like we really came up in like the beginning of like Sopranos and Jersey Shore when we were, in college.
Yes, in college. Yeah.
Growing up as first generation, what was that like for you, experiencing that? I don't mean experiencing it like celebrating it necessarily. I mean literally like seeing it around you, but actually living it with your parents being immigrants.
It wasn't as like strange because everyone else around us was the same. We're all like, and I always group us together as Kelly Brailsford, I think she used to call us the Bella Mafia. We all were growing up kind of the same way with our parents not really speaking English, even though, like I said, Elisa and Stefani's parents were younger. So I believe they went to school here. So they were a little bit better than my parents because mine were older. But I believe like Stefania Luciana was also like a first generation and her parents were a little bit older. So it was nice because we kind of all had that together. But there were a lot of things that like growing up in that little world that like when I started babysitting, we were not allowed to have macaroni and cheese. Like I did not eat macaroni and cheese until I was like 16 because that was not allowed in our house. My dad would not let my mom even like we would see it. I'm like, no. Elio's Pizza, I think we had it maybe a couple times, like not in front of my dad because that was not allowed in our house. I know. It's like the craziest stuff. And it's like, wait, people don't eat a 7-course meal for dinner? Like when I would babysit and I would have to make food for like the kids, I'm like salting the water and the pasta. And I was like, oh, should I make some sauce? And they're like, no, we don't even like literally just put it on the table and let the kids eat it. And I was like, I don't understand. You don't have bread. You don't have salad. There's no meat. Like, where's your 7-course meal? So there's a lot of things that we were like, oh, okay, not everybody does this because they're not growing up the way. We were very much immersed in like the Italian culture, even though we were living here. The Italian channel is always on. We're always watching Italian shows or listening to Italian music. We would get cassette tapes of, like if Elisa would go to Italy or we would bring back all this music and like, so we had all that, but it was always us. So we always just were like, well, this is what we do. And this is normal until you would go to someone else's house and you're like, oh, I guess people don't do that. Americans drink milk with their dinner. That is like blasphemy. Like there's no way that any Italian is drinking milk with their dinner.
What did you drink for your dinner?
Well, my mom would make like iced tea, or there was always wine at the table, which we could always have some if we wanted. It was never like, no, you can't, but didn't really, not till I got older did I start that. Wanting to be like, oh, I'll take a little bit.
I strangely remember not being allowed to drink at the dinner table. My dad, I feel like, would get mad. If I'm remembering this correctly, would get like angry and tell me like you can't, he doesn't want you to fill, he didn't want me to fill up on like liquids. I had to eat my dinner because I hated eating like real foods, vegetables and all that. So I would probably try to drink like milk or soda or something to fill up, and he would say, no, you just eat, then you drink afterwards.
My dad was like that. He would never drink until he was all done. And I would just like, aren't you thirsty? Like, how can you eat your whole meal without drinking? but he would. And then he's like, you should do the same. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. And I'm thirsty. And then I would drink. But yeah, my dad would be like, he wouldn't drink with that. But there was always like wine or beer on the table and water, but iced tea or like Italian soda that sometimes we would have. But there was, some things we were just like, oh, okay, I guess not everybody's mom makes bread from scratch every 3 weeks, or makes this like type of bread, or does these things. And you're like, oh, okay.
Well, super ready for the quarantine then, right? Making bread.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
way ahead of her time.
Here,
50 years ahead of her time.
Yes. My mom always would send me, and actually it depends on where we lived, but there are a lot of brands that you can't get in anywhere else in the country other than Philadelphia. But some things my mom sends me or would send me, and I'm like, I still live in America, so I can go to the store and buy this, but thank you for sending me pasta. But like now here, I can't get a lot of type of pasta or the brands that you guys have up there, which is crazy because we're not that far. Florida's not that far. There's a lot of stuff you can't get here, and you can't find good bread anywhere.
So you start having, how many kids do you have now?
3.
So you start when you're in California. Did you want to have kids growing up? You grew up with like a big family, right?
Yes, lots of cousins. Yeah. I only had one sister, but I wanted to have kids, and he would have had 5 or 6 kids if it was up to him. Thankfully it's not. And 3 is good enough. But yeah, I always wanted to have that. And then we started, in 2009 is when he was born. So.
And then you said you went to Texas after that.
Yeah. Then we moved to Texas, and Zach went to school in Texas after the Marine Corps, and his parents lived in Houston, and his brother was there. So they were like, why don't you guys come to Houston? So we did. We went to Houston for a little bit. Not my favorite. I don't like Houston. We lived in a super, it's called the Woodlands. It's outside of Houston. It's literally, they call it the bubble. I call it the Twilight Zone. Oh. I've never lived in such a place in my whole life. It's like a master plan community that's all encompassed, like its own mall. Like you never have to leave this place if you never. And then once you did, then you were in Cut and Shoot, Texas. Once you got out of the Woodlands, and that was like real Texas. Okay. But in this place, it's very affluent, very white, and so we lived there for a couple of years. And I worked at Starbucks. I was a barista. And it was interesting. Everyone just assumed I was Hispanic, which was fine. So I would say I was from Chile. And they would just automatically speak to me in Spanish.
Oh my God.
Okay, that's cool. That's fine. But I'd never lived somewhere where it was so blatantly, like, especially coming from there, like having lived like in Ambler, being at Wissahickon, like being very diverse, to going somewhere where it was not. I was like, wow, places like this really exist in the world. It's crazy.
Maria, can I tell you what I thought about earlier before we hopped on here? Because I try and think about like my guests a little bit, like what I remember, and we had a few classes together, and here's what I literally thought about earlier today. And I'm just gonna tell it straight from my head. So Zach, I apologize, but here's what I remember thinking. I remember thinking, I was literally walking around the kitchen behind me going like, oh, I feel like how many times did I like annoy her with Maria, I just met a girl named Maria. And I think, and I go, I know I did that all the time because I love West Side Story. You're the only Maria I really knew. And I said, I wonder if other people did that. And I go, I wonder why I did that, because she's not even Hispanic. And then I thought, I wonder if other people did that too. And I go, that was the J-Lo thing. And I said to myself, well, she had the butt too. And I wonder if that was just like a whole thing. And it's exactly now.
Yeah. No, actually, a lot of people saying, everyone sang that song to me. That and How Do You Solve a Problem Like Maria? Yeah. So no, everyone. Yeah. No, everyone just assumed I was Hispanic when I lived in Houston, and
That's
it was
so funny. Not funny, but funny.
Yeah. No, it was, and I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. So I just am Chilean because I thought that sounded more cool. Because you don't really hear that. You don't hear people from Chile. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm Chilean. I'm like, wow, that's great. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, you want to be able to shock them when they're guessing. One of my biggest disappointments is when people are trying to guess my race, and I get Samoan, I get Puerto Rican, I get all types of weird shit, Indian, Middle Eastern, and then I go, no, I'm black and white. I go, oh.
Oh, they're disappointed.
Yeah.
you didn't excite them enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. People do. I always get either a Hispanic is always the first one, but I have gotten, people have thought I've been mixed before. Like, and even in high school, I used to get that. I forget, they were older girls would always tell me I looked like this one girl who was mixed. But I do get that every once in a while. People are like, oh, are you mixed? And I was like, mixed? Like, what do you mean? With what? What do you mean? And then they're like, and then they don't know what to say. Yeah. Yeah. And then we also lived in Dallas too, which I like a lot better.
Okay.
I like Dallas. Dallas was a little more, it was a little more diverse. I just liked the area. I liked the people. When we left, I was sad to leave Dallas. I was like, I kind of like it here, but we really like Florida. This is our place.
So you went from Dallas to Florida?
Mm-hmm.
And how long have you been in Florida?
6 years, the longest we've lived anywhere. All our kids were born in different states. So our son was born in California. Our middle daughter was born in Houston. And then our youngest was born in Pennsylvania because we came back. So after Houston, my dad got sick, or we thought he was getting sick and he didn't want to go to the doctor. He was super stubborn. And so we said, you know what? We don't really like it here. Let's go back to Ambler. And so we moved back in with my parents because we weren't sure what we wanted to do. And then my dad got sick. He got cancer. And so I took care of him for a year and a half. Yeah. And I got pregnant, which we were not expecting the third one. That just happened. And so we were like, oh, okay, here we go. And so I was pregnant and taking care of my dad. And then he ended up passing away the same week I gave birth to my daughter. There was a lot of things happening. And
wow.
Yeah, he died on Tuesday and she was born on Friday.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That is a wild story.
Yeah, it was. I know, and
for that to bring you back, for you to get pregnant unexpectedly, and then for things that happen so.
Yeah, and then it just kind of was like, oh yeah, because we were in the middle. He was in the middle of like his chemo and me figuring out, because my mom had to work, and so Zach was working. We had the two little ones, and no one was like can stay home. So I was taking him to his doctors and stuff, and I had gone to visit my in-laws in Houston with the two younger kids. And when I had come back, and my mother-in-law was really into exercising, and so we exercised and like every day, and we drank every single day for like a month. She loves making martinis and she's really good at them. So we drank and drank. And then we came home and my sister goes, "You're awfully fat for working out every day. Like, what's up with your stomach?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. It's kind of like, what?" I was like, "This is so weird." And she goes, "You're pregnant." And I was like, "That's not happening." I was like, that can't be. I've been gone for a month. Like, that's not even possible.
Wow.
And then, I was like, "Well, Mom, I hope you love your grandkids because you're about to get another one."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, that's great." And I was like, "Oh, okay, everyone's great." I gained so much weight because I was just eating Marcella sandwiches and pizza and pasta. Oh man, it was bad. And then my dad passed away. And then that week, everybody brings you food. And I was just shoveling food in my mouth.
Yeah, how
delicious.
horrible time, but how great was it to have all those foods when you were pregnant back home?
Oh my God. At the end, I was just shoveling it. It was fantastic because I loved all that stuff and I didn't get it with the other two. So that was just like, oh, it was bad. I mean, people were bringing pizzas and pasta and they're like, is that your third mortadella sandwich? And I was like, yes. I mean, it was like, yeah, because I was going into labor like while my dad was still like alive, but I was a scheduled C-section, which is so they wouldn't let me change my mind. And I wasn't sure about changing my mind because I had complications with the first two kids going down. I had drugs, but having them vaginally. And so I was like, I don't know that I want to do that again. It would have been really not. So I picked the lesser of the two evils, but then they wouldn't. I'm like, listen, my dad is dying. Like I want to, and they wouldn't. They were like, no. So I was like, okay. So I think he was like waiting for me to have this baby, and then I didn't, and that I was like really upset about. Like I felt guilty somehow that it was like I didn't have the baby when he was still alive. But I mean, I knew that obviously I couldn't help that. And then he died. I went and helped pick out his casket, and I remember like trying to get in so I could. I'm like, well, I'd like to see how comfy, and I couldn't because I was so humongous, and I was like, well, sorry, Dad, if it's comfy or not, you're getting in this one. And then I had her that same week, so it was wild. And then we were like, I don't think we're gonna stay in Ambler. There was just too much, and
yeah, that's a lot. I was gonna say it almost feels like a proper chapter ending.
Yes, yeah, it was kind of like, okay, we came, we did all we could for my dad, but this is not really where we want to be. We were gone for a while. This is not where we wanted to be. I have obviously roots there, and so I have a little more nostalgia with it, but like Zach is used to moving all around, and he's like, come on, let's go. And
yeah.
it's like, okay. It was a lot easier leaving the second time, I think, than it was the first time. And then going to Dallas, I liked Dallas. It was, the kids went to school and I made friends, which was easier there than it was before. But
yeah.
So it was a little crazy. Yeah.
Favorite movie in high school?
That's where I get confused. About like what was in high school. I have to remember maybe Can't Hardly Wait, because people thought I looked like Jennifer Love Hewitt. And when we went to the movies, I went with Mindy and my sister. Mindy was trying to trick these boys into thinking I was like I had come to 309 Cinema to watch this movie, and they were believing it. And I was getting so nervous, and I was like, we have to leave. Like, I can't. What if they ask me for my autograph? I'm not doing this. I just was so embarrassed. I was like, I can't. And they really thought I was her. And she was trying to be so loud. And I'd put sunglasses. I mean, it was.
That's incredible.
I did that at quite a few times where people thought I was her, and I did sign an autograph once at the mall. And I'm like, all you have to do is look down at my chest to see I am not Jennifer Love Hewitt. But no one was smart enough to do that, so I was like, okay, I guess so.
We didn't know boobs then. Like, we had no idea what boobs really look like.
I'll be honest. I guess not, because nobody ever knew that it wasn't.
I remember back then, like, oh, this girl has big boobs. She doesn't have big boobs. Yeah, dude, I think they're big. No, dude, that's the bra. Like, we had no idea what boobs were big, small.
Yeah. So
I didn't know what they looked like.
I always thought, like, how do they not realize all you have to do is look down and see that I am not her.
They're looking at the straight hair.
Yeah, it was the hair. Yeah, there was a couple times where people really did think, and I had to leave because I was like, okay, I'm not going to do this. These people are way too excited, and then they're going to be really disappointed when they find out I'm not her.
Do you know what's really funny about that? This kind of just struck me is that I remember. So I used to love Can't Hardly Wait, and I got a tape. Sean Higgins had taped "Can't Hardly Wait" and "Armageddon" on a VHS.
Oh yeah, Armageddon was real big.
And I borrowed it from him. I think he got a bootleg, and I borrowed it from him. And I used to watch it. I didn't give it back for like 6 months, and I watched it every single night. Loved both those movies, and I would fall asleep to them. And I always remember like the black guy who would always, and I would go, man, I hope I'm never like that guy who's like, hey, you remember that time? And I go, this guy's ridiculous. And I go, because I always have like that type of memory where I remember stuff from elementary school, and my friends are all like, why always bringing up old stuff? And I go, but now I'm thinking like, holy shit, I am completely that guy.
You are that guy. You have become that guy. That's so funny. Isn't that funny? That's really funny. You became that guy. You just did. That's okay though, because this is fun. But yeah, Armageddon was really big. I remember going to the movies and seeing that, and Titanic. I think we went to and saw Titanic like
Titanic
at least 3 times.
What about? I feel like, or I don't know. Maybe it was Romeo and Juliet was middle school, but Leo was like huge, right?
Yes, I do think Romeo and Juliet.
Did you cry over Leo? Like the Leo, like
oh my god, every single time. How could she have done that to him and he died? Oh, every single time at the movies, all the girls were like, and then we bought the cassette and it came in 2 because it was too long to fit on 1.
Right.
So it was in 2.
Did you have like a Hollywood like heartthrob crush?
I liked, going way back to New Kids on the Block. I was a big Joey
McIntyre.
Joey McIntyre was it. And so was, oh my God. What was his name? McKnight. What was the other? Jordan Knight.
Oh, yes.
Jordan was, he was real big. And then who else? I liked Nick Carter. I was a Backstreet Boys fan. You know, there was I was not an NSYNC. I was a Backstreet Boys. So I was definitely Nick Carter fan, and Ricky Martin. I was really into. I had a necklace that said Ricky in 10th grade. So I was.
Is that why people thought you were Latino?
Maybe because I was super into Ricky Martin, and So I had posters all over, pictures from those magazines.
It's funny you mentioned Joey McIntyre and Jordan Knight, because they both like had that resurgence when we were in high school, where they both came out. Like, so were you with
songs? Yes, yeah. I saw Jordan Knight when I went to an NSYNC concert with my little sister, and he opened for them. Yes. Yeah, he had like a big thing. Actually, on HGTV, his brother, now I forget his name, has like
Joey or Jordan?
Jordan Knight's brother. Jonathan has like a show on HGTV, and it's like called like Road to Farmhouse or something. He like redoes these houses, and I was watching it on my lunch break at work because I have a TV in my room, and I was like, that looks like a New Kid on the Block. Like, that's gotta be Jonathan. And then I was like, no, it's not him. And it's definitely him. Wow. And I was like, wow, are we that? I mean, and he looks like him, but obviously older.
Yeah.
But I couldn't believe that he has a show on HGTV, and he redoes these old houses in Boston, and he's really good at what he does. Wow. It's crazy.
That makes me feel good that he's not still trying to sing.
No. I think he stopped. Right. I think he had issues. Yeah.
Those guys are like still coming. It's like, it's in their heart. It's their only stream of revenue. They've been doing it since they were
and you're like,
16. They learned no other skill set.
Yes. Oh my God. Yesterday, you know what song I had these kids put on YouTube was remember Soul for Real?
Yo, this is fucking crazy. Whoa. Are you about to tell me that you listened to Soul for Real yesterday?
Yes, Candy Rain. I'm not even joking, because these girls were trying to get me to listen to Cardi B or whatever. And I don't know how it came up. And I was like, let me show you a little something when I was your age. And I was like, I was like dancing, and they were like, Miss Rowe. And I was like, shut up and listen to the song. Yes.
Okay. You want to know what's really weird? So yesterday, what am I bumping coming down the street? on my way home yesterday afternoon. Candy Rain, Soul for Real.
Oh my, that song was like amazing.
Last night, I do a podcast with Max Wood. Do you remember Max Wood?
Yeah. Oh my, that was like his best friend.
So earlier in the day, Max had posted, like, he often goes live from work on Facebook, and he's often like singing songs. What is Max singing? Every Little Thing You Do by Candy Rain. So I'm like,
oh
yo,
my
Max,
God,
when we link up, I go, Max, dude, I gotta tell you, dude, I was bumping Soul for Real earlier today too. I go, that's so crazy. You were listening to that, and then you start going,
yes,
I'm going,
that is what came up, and I
That's
was
the
watching the
trifecta.
video. I know, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, this was the video, but I remember having the cassette of that because in the beginning they sing like an excerpt from like a different song,
right?
and I'm like, you
a
guys,
cappella or something.
yes, yeah. And I'm like, you guys, just listen. And they're like, we want to listen to WAP. And I was like, be quiet and listen to Soul for Real. I was like, this is music. Just like I put on Bone Thugs and Harmony for my son because I had that CD, I think in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, son, just listen to just a little bit of this. Not your boom, 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 boom. Now tell me what you gonna do.
It ain't no
Crossroads was like, Crossroads. Do you remember like the video in the beginning? She sang like When Doves Cry.
Yeah.
Oh, that was like the best.
Yeah, yeah.
And he only liked like one. Some of the songs I'm like, yeah, okay, you probably shouldn't listen to this song. You probably should skip that. He's like, you listen to this? I'm like, Busy Bone was right here. I mean, his voice, and First of the Month was the first song I ever heard. And that was that hooked me on to them. But that was funny because he listens to like, I don't even know these rappers that these kids listen to. And I'm like, oh, cool.
I like
the only one I like is Juice WRLD.
Oh yeah, Juice WRLD's good. I like to have an even mix of both. I like to, I still listen to Jay-Z and Jadakiss and Mobb Deep,
yes,
and Pusha T, and
Oh man, I always tell the kids like I love TLC. That was my first CD I ever got was TLC in my Walkman that I got for my confirmation in 6th grade. That was like my present, and then I got the CD from TLC, and I was like,
crazy, sexy, cool.
Yes, I'm the coolest person I know right
Waterfalls
now. Waterfalls
was a fucking phenomenon.
I mean, that's still, when that comes on, you're still doing.
That was our Thriller. That was our Thriller, yes. Right? Waterfalls was our Thriller.
And I could recite all of Left Eye's, like her rap. Now I couldn't, but then, man, I knew every word to that. Missy Elliott, she's still, that's it. Don't go chasing waterfalls. It's like these kids don't know good music. I feel like they're not everything they listen to is very good. But I love Missy Elliott. Oh man, I still turn that on in the car.
For you, we've named a lot. Did you have like a top artist or album or song or something like musically that was like your number one?
It would have to be like either Mariah Carey or Backstreet Boys. I mean, I was just really into those then, but I also really liked like Missy Elliott and TLC. So really, I'm so bad at like pinpointing one thing. I can't have, you ask me what's your favorite, I can't. I have like a lot. So it would have to be in there because I liked both that genre of music. I like both of them. That was like, there are certain songs that bring you back to being, in high school, like, oh yeah, I remember that song. I remember doing this. Like, I remember we would tape, like Elisa and I would tape, like Britney Spears, we would tape her videos, record that, and then try and learn the dances to like Crazy or Oops, I Did It Again. Like, I just remember like, oh, like we're going to learn this dance. And we would record, tape it, rewind it, play it over and over. I don't think we ever learned the dances, but.
Not sometimes. You didn't try and do the one on the boardwalk?
Oh, when she did like this thing.
Yeah,
it was like, yes. It was that. Yeah, no, we did. Yeah, we did that too. Yep, I forgot about that song. I almost forgot about that song.
So now you're in Florida. This is probably permanent for you.
Yeah. We really like it. We like we're close to the beach, and we like the weather. Because at first we were like, well, I was like, Florida is a lot of old people. It's hot, but it's actually it's really nice. I understand why people come here now for 6 months out of the year because it really is nice. And then in the summer, it's hotter than shit here. But everybody has a pool, and the beach is like 30 minutes down the road. So
this will be the moment that I go to the yearbook.
Oh boy.
And we take a look here at your resume.
Oh God. It's not very long. And I think I lied.
Oh, you lied.
Well, I don't know. I think.
No, you got the two things. The two things are in here.
Oh, FBLA and Key Club. There you go. Say.
You got the FBLA 10, 11, 12, and Key Club for 12.
Yes.
Your quote is anger makes you smaller, while forgiveness forces you to grow beyond what you were.
I don't even know where I got that from. When people are like, I got that quote from I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? I have no idea. I wish The Office was on because I would have had my quote now would have been that's what she said. That would have been my quote.
I want to Google. Since you have no idea, I want to Google it because
Google. It's kind of a deep quote.
Yeah. While forgiveness forces, it comes up in Google.
Oh, who's it from? Where did I get it?
Sherry Carter Scott. Anger makes you smaller, while forgiveness forces you to grow beyond what you were.
Oh, so how about that? Look at me.
So you said what you were. The quote says what you are.
Oh, honestly, I have no idea.
This says what you were though. Let's see. This one says what you were on this website. So, it is about punishing in a different way. Don't you think forgiveness is a quality? I don't know. This is someone else commenting.
I literally have no idea. I don't even know where I got. I don't remember because don't we do that in 11th grade? I think we did it in 11th grade.
So let me just Google who Sherry Carter Scott was. It's an author.
Oh.
PhD, MCC, #1 New York Times best-selling author. The mother of coaching is her name.
Look at me.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's interesting that's where you got that from.
Yeah, I have no idea. No idea. I wish I would have done something better.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Too bad. Bless you. If it was now, it would have been that's what she said. Bless you. That's what I would like to change my quote to.
All right, we'll just change. Maybe I'll black it out for you and just write it myself.
Yeah, black it out just, but that's what she said.
Thanks, Mom, Dad, Abby, for everything. I love you. Nano, you'll always be with me. That's your grandmother?
Yeah, my grandfather. Yeah, he died.
Or grandfather. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Nano, yeah, you're right. Masculine.
Yeah.
My friends. So I actually did start to look at this and I went, there's no fucking way I'm ever going to know these.
Oh, I think I know. I think I know because I have my yearbook, so I looked at it. I think I know who my initials are.
LTB.
LTB. Okay, that I don't know.
KD.
Oh man, why do I?
Yeah, see,
I would know. KD. I have no idea. Darn it.
DP.
Oh, go get the yearbook. I need to look at it. I feel like I need to look at it. DP.
I got HG. That's got to be Heather Goodwin.
It's Heather Goodwin. Yeah, it's definitely Heather.
SW.
Simone Woodland.
Simone Woodland.
Yeah.
BFF AD. That's Elisa.
Elisa, yeah.
SM.
Stefania Messina.
And TS. Terror Squad.
Teresa Soraya. She was a grade above us.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. LTB. Oh, I gotta look at that. I have no idea.
So no Danielle.
No.
Yeah, because
No.
your quote was about her.
No. So Danielle, okay, we weren't friends at the time. That's why we were best friends from we were little up until about ninth grade when she got pregnant. Then there was like a rift there. We weren't as close as we used to be.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think I would have. I didn't put her in there. We were kind of not speaking at the time. For I don't even know what we do now. She sees my mom and she goes to my mom's house. My mom teaches her how to make meatballs and sauce and stuff because she works at a dermatologist where my mom goes to. So yeah, but at the time, I think we had grown apart a little bit.
Yeah.
And so we weren't speaking. God, now I thought I knew everybody. Oh my, I can't even.
It's you. It's still you. I mean, I've seen you on Facebook and everything. Like you look still the same.
Yeah, I kind of do still look the same. And that I had come back from Italy fresh with that hairdo because I had long hair. And I went there and I was like, I transformed. I came back with no bangs. Because I remember Tara Cooper Smith. Yeah, because Tara Cooper Smith was like, Maria, you don't have bangs. I'm like, I know. I got rid of them when I went to Italy. And she was like, did she have bangs? I'm not sure. But I do remember Tara saying that to me, like, oh my God, Maria, you don't have bangs. I'm like, I know.
Tara did not have bangs.
No, I don't think she did. No, I think she just commented.
Center part.
She had center part. She had really pretty black hair, center part. Yep. That's exactly how I remember. Yep. Me and Jen Sloss had the same routine for our bangs, a big round brush that we would, and then we would stick our fingers in between like this and curl the bang like that. We were hot stuff.
Trade secrets.
I really hope Jen remembers our bangs.
I'm looking to see if I can find like a KD in here but I'm not really.
Yeah,
Kim Devaney.
Kim Devaney. There you go.
All right, we got one. Now we need a DP.
DP. Whose last name was P?
Don Parker?
No.
Danielle Pitcher?
Yes. Well, yes. Yeah, Danielle Pitcher. Yeah, because we were really close senior year. I went to her house a lot. We ate lunch together. That was senior year. Yeah. I bet it was Danny Pitcher. Yep.
This was awesome, Maria. I again, not knowing you really and just having a few classes with you, and knowing Zach really a bit more than I knew you. Being able to talk to you just about like life and growing up, this has been like awesome. It's been
this was really fun. Yeah. And I didn't even know that like you knew Zach better than you knew me. So there. I didn't know that.
Okay. So we'll have to link up with him. I'll have to figure out if he doesn't use social media, whatever. We'll have to
Yeah, or you can always go through me.
Yeah. All right. I will reach out to his people, which is you, and we'll schedule something.
Yes. His people will contact your people.
But in the meantime, like you as an individual person, I had an awesome time talking to you. This was
me too. Yeah, this was fun. Really fun.
Yeah, and let's keep in touch.
Yes, for real.
Because I want to make a trip down to Florida, and this is one of the stops I want to make.
You do your Wissahickon rounds in Florida. Yes. Yeah, you should.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you.